So Gemma, why did you feel it was important to have an all-staff briefing specifically on mental health?
So over the years we've done a lot of work on mental health at Railfreight, and we have wellbeing champions in place. They do phenomenal work here, and what we've long kind of been seeking is a director that will stand there and talk to staff about their own experiences with mental health. And that's where Tim really helped us find the idea of hosting a business brief focused on mental health. Tim was happy to talk about his experiences, and we decided to do the brief a little bit differently. So historically our all staff briefs have been in the format of talking about business matters around financials, assets, safety, performance. They're very much director led, and the employees obviously have the ability to ask questions, and generally it's quite an informal setting. But this brief was going to be a bit different. This was about staff interviewing Tim and creating a really safe space where people feel psychologically safe to share, and it was so positive. We did create that environment where people could communicate with us in person if they want to speak up, or they could use the chat function to talk about any insights or any reflections on what we were sharing. So we decided to run this brief at the time of Time to Talk, which is an event that's run every February by Mind. And Mind is obviously a company that do an awful lot for mental health, and it's a charity that we've worked with quite a lot over the years as well. So we thought, what better time to host this mental health focus brief than that time. And we cleverly coined the session Tim to Talk hour, and that did get some laughs and some engagement from the staff. So yeah, that's why we went ahead with the brief, and it has changed the way that we do our business briefs going forward.
That's brilliant. And Tim, for you as a director, why did you feel it was important for you to talk about your own experience of mental health?
Well, I think it just makes it a bit more personal. I mean, one of the challenges of mental health is that people find it really difficult to talk about, and to create a forum and hopefully, as you've said, a safe space for people to be able to, listen to my story, for it to be okay that, anybody struggles and anybody throughout the period of their life finds more difficult periods when it comes to mental health, their own mental health, and to have that in an open forum, in an open conversation, I genuinely hope it helped to destigmatise the situation and the challenge, because mental health for me is like physical health. It's something that you have to be mindful of. It's something that you have to focus on. It's something that you have to actually take action to help, to support. Physically you go running and what have you, to make sure that your fitness is at a particular level. You have to work on your mental health and work on your resilience. And actually, sometimes you're not okay, and it's okay to put your hand up and ask for some support and ask for help in the same way that you would if you were suffering a physical ailment. And just having that debate and conversation, I hoped would lead people to a place where they could ask for support. And GB Railfreight, as Gemma rightly pointed out, over the course of the last number of years, has been really great at being proactive in that support, but people have to put their hand up as well.
Mm-hmm. And what did you feel the impact was from that, having that session on mental health and having Tim talk about his own experience? What did you feel the impact was on staff?
The impact was huge. So not only did we host this session in a live format, and we had 60 people dial in and give an hour of their time to this, which is quite unusual compared to the normal business briefs we host. We host business briefs weekly, and I'd say on average you get about 20 attendees. So this already engaged a lot of people. But then we recorded the session, and we've had about 70 people look at that recording as well. And the feedback we've had has been phenomenal. We've both been in receipt of some lovely touching emails where people feel able to share their experiences, and that for us is amazing. That has broken down that stigma. People sharing how that they felt that they couldn't open up about their struggles. They saw it as a sign of weakness, but having Tim and the rest of the panel that were interviewing Tim share those experiences has really helped normalise that conversation around mental health. And I think like I say, it had a ripple effects. I know that in the job I do in HR, people are talking about mental health so much more now, and it had that ripple effect on managers where they're feeling, okay, I can let down my walls, I can say I'm not okay and I'm struggling, and I know I'm going to be listened to.
And actually putting your hand up, saying that you need help, asking people for support is around protecting yourself and creating that resilient sort of framework that you need to have to be centred as a person, which will help you to continue to improve and do better and to perform. And so I think that taking away the fear that comes with, if I put my hand up, if I say that I'm struggling, then I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing for the organisation, and removing that, I think, has allowed people just to seek the help that they need, and the conversations that are useful to have. Entirely, I think also that we're normalising conversations around the things that people put in place to ensure their mental health well-being. So that might mean protecting boundaries, for instance, and not switching the phone on at the weekend, and spending time in a different sort of context doing different things. By having those conversations and kind of moving away from what the rail industry has always had, I think, which is a bit of a macho culture. Saying that I can do my job in the hours allotted for me to do my job, I can work really hard, I can deliver the results that are needed, but I have to recharge as well. And when I go on holiday, I need to be relaxing, because if people aren't able to rejuvenate themselves and to kind of get back the energy that they put into their day to day, then you're not getting them at 100%. And actually, just from a business perspective, we want people here that are firing on all cylinders, that are 100%. And so we've got to put things in place to make sure that they're looking after themselves, and that we're supporting people in looking after themselves so that they can perform at the best of their ability. And trying to be superhero with the hours that people work, or whatever else it might be, doesn't actually help us to be a safe organisation. It doesn't help us to be a resilient organisation, and it doesn't help people to continue to perform. So we're doing a lot of things around ensuring that safety and well-being is right at the very heart of the way that we manage people. GB Railfreight has always been an organisation that supports its people. We've done things like private healthcare for everybody in the organisation. We have a whole programme of activities for families of people that work with GB Railfreight throughout the summer, and that's all about giving back and ensuring that everybody's family feels part of the GB Railfreight family, and the focus now post-COVID on society, on culture, on communities, I think is really important, and that works very closely with our mental wellbeing work.
Yeah, and it certainly sounds like you're doing a lot to support staff mental health, and I guess the briefing was one of those things that was really good at sending that message to staff to look after themselves and how important that is. What was the impact for you in doing that briefing? How did you feel doing that? Yeah,
it was quite cathartic, actually. I mean, it was. I thought long and hard about doing it, because I told you a moment ago that it was about being open and sharing things, but you've got to be vulnerable to do that, and to stand up metaphorically in front of the whole business and say, look, I'm a flawed person who's struggled with lots of different things, is quite a hard thing to do. But I hope also that it was just me and me being an authentic version of myself and telling my story, and I felt really pleased that I was able to do it. And if it helps somebody reach out, and it helps somebody to address some of the challenges that they've got, and actually it helps people feel comfortable in this organisation, in this environment, and not look to apply their skills and expertise elsewhere because they feel wanted and included and supported here, then that is brilliant. That is me doing my bit to help not only the business to perform, but each and every person in the organisation to feel included. And that's what we've always striven to do as a business, to make people feel supported and included.
Whenever anyone speaks about their own experience of mental health, it's really great at reducing stigma. And I think when it comes from a leader, it's even more important at sending that message. And it's something we don't really see very much within the rail industries, is leaders opening up and speaking about this sort of thing. What advice would you give to other leaders within the industry if they wanted to do the same?
I think that as leaders we have to be mindful of the fact that a stone dropped in the pond creates ripples, and people look to leaders of businesses for guidance, for support, for advice. And so if, as leaders, we are able to make it possible to have conversations, normalise conversations, if we're able to share vulnerabilities, then that goes a long way. So my advice would be just do it. You don't have to worry about it being perfect. You don't have to worry about negative implications and consequences, because people are increasingly mindful of the fact that we do have to be our normal selves, and we do have to bring our full selves to work. And when we do, people respect that, and people see that, and it's not any longer seen as a sign of weakness. It's seen as a sign of strength. And leadership is around getting people to perform and to be more than they thought that they could be, and perform at a level that they weren't sure that they could perform at. And by enabling them, by supporting them in being their whole true self, you're letting them perform at a better level, and that's for me what leadership's all about.
Excellent. Well, thank you both very much for your time. It's been great hearing about the brief, and it sounds like it's had a really positive impact here.
Definitely has, and thank you.
Thanks.